So let's begin. So I think first I should introduce myself properly here. My name is Nehara. This was my second attempt in UPSC, and I have got an AR 74 in my second attempt. I'm a graduate of 2023 in BSc Life Sciences from Meerut College, Chaudhary Charan Singh University. In my first attempt, I reached till interview, but I couldn't make it to the final list. I belong to Meerut और मैंने अपनी तैयारी 2022 I started preparing in 2022 in my third year, full-time preparation. So पहले मैं ज़रा आपको अपनी जर्नी के बारे में बता देता हूँ कि मैंने कब से तैयारी शुरू करी, कितना टाइम मैंने किस चीज़ पे फोकस किया। जी, so I started preparing in full-time preparation in July 2022. So for the initial 3-4 months, so initial 3-4 months, what I did was I focused on NCRTs, जो कि बेसिक एनसीईआरटी बुक्स होती हैं, मैंने उन पे फोकस किया टू बिल्ड माय बेस. आई हैड चोजन माय ऑप्शनल एज एंथ्रोपोलॉजी. सो मैंने एंथ्रोपोलॉजी की भी बेसिक बुक्स जैसे एम्बर एंड एम्बर होती है या फिर बेसिकली वही पढ़ी थी. और थोड़ा मैंने सिलेबस भी इस टाइम में थोड़ा पढ़ा, क्वेश्चन किस तरीके के आते हैं इस पेपर में थोड़ा वो देखे, और अपनी बेसिक अंडरस्टैंडिंग आई थिंक मैंने 4-5 महीनों में शुरू की थी, मैंने बना ली थी. उसके बाद मैंने सोचा दैट since my attempt was in 2024 and we were in December 2022, so I had enough time to prepare for mains and I focused solely on mains initially. The first 3 months मैंने प्रॉपर ऑप्शनल को तैयारी की दिसंबर टू मार्च, एंड देन मैंने इस टाइम पे अपना ऑप्शनल पढ़ा, अपने ऑप्शनल के नोट्स बनाने शुरू किए, थोड़े बहुत पीवाईक्यू लिखना शुरू किए. फिर आफ्टर से फ्रॉम अप्रैल 2023 I shifted to general studies mains and I prepared my notes. I went through the syllabus. मैं नोट्स बनाने का मैं तरीका आपको बता देता हूँ. You should pick a line from the syllabus, जो आपका टॉपिक होगा. फिर आप उस टॉपिक के पीवाईक्यूज आप देखेंगे तो उससे आपको सब टॉपिक्स पता चल जाएंगे कि इस टॉपिक में आपको क्या पढ़ना है. एंड देन यू वुड पिक अप सोर्स मटेरियल. वहां पे आप देखेंगे that is it able to fulfill the knowledge required, to make notes, और तब आप वो पढ़ के अपने नोट्स बनाना शुरू करेंगे. तो फिर मैंने जनरल स्टडीज मेंस के नोट्स बनाने शुरू किए एंड आई फोकस्ड ऑन मेंस टिल दिसंबर 2023. इस टाइम में मेरा ऑप्शनल के नोट्स हो चुके थे, मेरे ऑप्शनल का एक रिवीजन हो चुका था, और इसके साथ साथ मेरे 70 to 75% जीएस मेंस के भी नोट्स बन चुके थे. देन फ्रॉम जनवरी 2024, yes, I'll share my book list for prelims as well as for mains. From January 2024, I shifted to prelims, and 6 months I focused solely on prelims. I gave tests, I revised, and that's how I was able to clear the prelims in my first attempt. Then from prelims 2024 to mains 2024, what I did was I finished my notes जो बचे थे mains के. I wrote some answers. In anthropology, I revised. I made short notes of my notes, and this is how I went for mains 2024, which I qualified. Then I went for interview in March 2025 for the 2024 attempt, and in April 2025 the final result was announced, in which I could not make it to the list. So this was the journey before my first attempt, and in my second attempt I went again for the prelims 2025, then mains, and then interview, in which I luckily got AIR 74. So let's start with sources, right? Prelims के लिए क्या sources थे and mains के लिए क्या sources थे. So for prelims, just give me a minute. So for prelim sources की बात कर लेते हैं. So for polity, I relied first. I read 11th class NCRT Constitution at Work to build my basic knowledge. Then Lakshmikant is the base source for polity. Then comes economics. Economics, I read the Vivek Singh book. At first, I read the Vivek Singh book, and then I read Mrinal sir notes. So that was my economic source. Then comes environment. For environment, I took. Sure. I read PMF IS, but could skip it if you can enroll in Shivan sir's environment course. So that was my source for environment. Shivan sir's environment course. For science and tech as well, I relied on Shivan sir's environment course from Sathi IS. Then we have modern history. For modern history, first you must read NCRTs to build your base knowledge, and after that there is a spectrum that we all read. Then for ancient and medieval history, I read NCRTs thoroughly 3 4 times, and after that I also revised Lucent. Then I think we have geography. Geography, first you must read 11th and 12th class NCRTs, and if you have time, you can also read PMFIS book on physical geography. So these were my basic sources for prelims. And for prelims, my strategy was that I must revise at least 3 4 times. These sources must be revised at least 3 4 times, and after that I would give tests to identify gaps in my knowledge. And once I identified gaps, for example, there's a certain question that I got wrong on parliament section of polity, then I would revise parliament again. I also enrolled in SFG by Forum IAS, in which there are daily tests. So for prelims, daily tests are there, so I could revise along with it. So for prelims, what should be your strategies? The strategy should be that if it is your first prelims, you must shift to prelim focused studies in January, and then for 4 5 6 months you should focus solely on prelims. Your goal must be to revise your static books, the sources which I have mentioned, at least 3 times during these months. But be you must also have read them at least twice before shifting to prelims, right? And you must give tests. The goal of tests should be to identify your weak areas, as well as the other goal of tests is to know how the wrong questions are framed. Because you must understand one thing, that if a wrong statement is present in front of you, the examiner must have gotten that statement from a source in which the correct statement was there, and then the correct statement must have been modified in a certain manner to make it incorrect. And there are only a limited ways in which those statements can be made incorrect. So you must identify those patterns, and once you are accustomed enough with those patterns, you'll be able to identify them in real exams or the tests. So that is how you develop the MCQ aptitude. So this is a broad prelims strategy. Then for mains, first thing is that the syllabus of mains is very vast. What you must do, you should pick one paper, and let's say you are going to prepare for polity. What you must do is you pick a section from polity. Let's say you are going to prepare for parliament for mains, and you need notes. The strategy is, first you see all the questions that have been asked on parliament. Then you would prepare notes. The basic sources for notes is, I used only as Prahar booklets, which are available for free in market, and I also used vision value added material to make notes. So from them you can get basic notes out. They are quite detailed. You can just shorten the arguments and make short notes. Then you would need some value addition, subject specific value additions, about which we'll talk shortly. So this is how you make notes. You take a topic, you identify subtopics, and then you make notes in introduction, body, conclusion manner on each topic. So this is how you would be making notes for your mains. And once you are done with it, then you would shift to another subject, then another, and then another. Then you would revise those notes and you would start answer writing. Now let's discuss answer writing, how you should start answer writing. The first step of starting answer writing is looking at topocopies. Once you see topocopies, you should read the question. You should try to analyze the demand by yourself. Do not look at the answer, just analyze the demand. What is the question asking? And you should write that demand down in 3 lines yourself. And once you feel that you have sufficiently identified the demand, what you then do must do is look at how topper has addressed that demand. And if you see that there is some gap between what you how you have identified it and how topper have identified it, and then you'll learn your mistakes. Then you'll do this whole process again, and if there is no gap, then well and good, you're on the right path. So you make notes, you start answer writing, and you analyze demand, and then you start writing. Try to reproduce your notes, your arguments, your value addition that you have made in the copy as much as you can, right? Always try to make things easier for the examiner. Make sure that you highlight well. Make sure that each of your argument is neatly visible to the examiner, and examiner doesn't have to make much effort to identify that. Try to use maps, committees, facts as much as possible, and try to address the implicit demand of the question as well. If a question is asking you limitations of something or issues with some act, then you must also address or provide information regarding how you can address those limitations, or how we can address those limitations, how we can improve uh, the act. So that is the implicit demand, right? So start answer writing. I mean, the first rule of answer writing is that you must start writing. I mean, there is nothing better than learning by writing, right? So this is the broader strategy for mains. Regarding sources, I think for mains the sources are quite scattered. The Prahar, I think, is a good source for most of it, but for GS3 I relied on Shivan sir's course for specifically for agriculture and internal security. uh, for environment I did use some topper notes, like Nandana ma'am's notes are quite good in environment. I'll also be sharing my notes on my Telegram channel, which is UPSC with Nehara AIR 74. Right. So this is how you go for mains, at least preparing for mains. Right. I think this has been for optional. What let's discuss optional, anthropology optional. First is that in optional as well, what you must do first is you should start reading this syllabus. It is exhaustive. You should start reading PYQs and try to uh, place PYQs in specific syllabus, under specific syllabus points, so that you know from where this question has been asked. I think Vishal publication has a really good PYQ book on it. So then you start making notes. For notes, there are topper notes available. There are multiple books, reference books available, coaching material available. What you must do is you pick a topic, you read, uh, you read about it from reference book, from topper notes, and once you know that you have covered this topic exhaustively, then you make your notes by uh, identifying an intro from your source which you feel is good enough. Then you address specific dimensions. Then you address specific dimensions by making notes. Then you add some value addition, and that is how your note for a specific uh, topic will be complete. And then you start answer writing. Try to make model answers of PYQs. Try to make model answers of PYQs once your notes are done, so that you understand the demand of the question and you know how would you address them, right? So this is broadly optional strategy, like what you should do. Now let's discuss how to get marks. So to get marks, like to write good answers, there are specific for particular subject there is specific approach. So first, let's say GS1. In GS1, we have art and culture, we have modern history, we have post-independent history, we have world history, then we have society, and we have geography. For art and culture, the best way to fetch marks is diagrams. The best way to fetch marks is facts, maps, wherever possible. For history as well, timelines, maps, wherever possible. You must try to add them so that your answer looks good. For geography, again, diagrams, make diagrams on every single topic that is there. Try to visualize a particular concept and come up with a diagram, or just copy diagrams from your no from notebooks or textbooks. Then regarding society, you must address sociological concepts in your answers. You must talk about, let's say, if a question is there, then you must uh, try to analyze that question from the sociological perspective, from caste perspective, from stratification perspective, in group, out group perspectives. These are sociological concepts which must appear in your answers. And if your optional is sociology or anthropology, then certainly you are going to excel here, right? Then comes polity. So for polity, case laws, then committees, then facts like article, like constitutional amendment. These facts become very important along with the arguments that you are going to provide. For governance, ministry reports, indices, examples of government initiatives become very important. For social justice part, I think committees and the statistics reports, these become very important. For IR, you must also have some scholars with you on particular relations. For example, there is, if we talk about BRICS, there is Jim O'Neill. If we talk about India-Pakistan relations, there is Stephen Cohen, or scholars like C. Raja Mohan is there, Professor Harsh V. Pant is there. So for IR, you must have these, and there is also wide scope of diagram in every IR question. So you must not miss that. This is how you gain marks. You score more marks in GS3. And whenever you are putting data, try to visualize that data with bar graphs, with pie charts, with graphs, so that it is easier for the examiner to understand, and it is visual there. It is visually there as well. So for economics, facts, data, try to quote sources of your data. If you are not able to remember sources, what you must do is you can have some broad sources in mind. For example, RBI, Niti Aayog, NABARD. These organizations put a lot of data out. And for example, if you are talking about, let's say, banking sector, if you're talking about textile sector, if you're talking about agriculture, then any of these institutions would certainly have uh, some data regarding this. So you can quote these institutions. Then we have agriculture, very static topic. I think you should prepare your notes uh, on each and every topic that is mentioned there, and you must have some again data. Then again committees. Then again innovative solutions that are there, maps. You must have these handy. Same for internal security. You must have maps. You must have facts. You must have data with you, and you must be able to put that in answer. Then disaster management, quite static. There is NDMA, which is there. Then there is various international treaties or protocols that are there. You must mention them. You must make maps. You must be able to put, if we talk about cyclones, or there are different categories, those must come into your answers along with the basic demand of the question that is there. This is how you'll gain marks. In ethics, I think your focus should be on arguments. Your arguments must be ethically placed, or backed by ethics, backed by qualities. you cannot only talk about examples. By giving examples, you back your argument. You do not start with your example only. You tell how integrity is good, why integrity is good. You talk about why compassion is good. You talk about why neutrality is good, why political neutrality is good for a civil servant. The why is more important than the who, than the what in ethics. I think in case studies, uh, we all are aware of the processes, like we should ethically, this should be done or that should be done, but you must be able to justify your course of action with the things that you learn in section A, the ethics part. Like why, like if you're taking certain action, then why are you taking that action? That must be justified through the qualities or through the arguments that are there in section 1, right? Now let's discuss essay. So the first rule of essay is that you start writing essay. There is no prerequisite to write an essay. Other than that, you have must have some knowledge, and which most of you have since you are studying. So then, what you must do is you must read some essays as well. Try to read some topper essays and try to analyze their structure rather than their content. Try to analyze their structure, their flow, their argumentation, how they have presented their ideas. So you start with an introduction. There are multiple ways of starting an introduction. There can be an anecdote, there can be a quote. I usually used an anecdote. Then you uh, put a thesis statement. Then you, so there's a broad structure to an essay, like how you present your arguments. That you first you argue, then your argument must be backed with an example. So I think start writing essays, start reading essays. That is the broader strategy for essay. Try to link one paragraph with the another so that there is continuity in the answer. I think for essay, that is the strategy. I think we'll take some of the your questions now. So first question is like how to prepare mains notes. So I've already discussed this. You pick a subject or you pick a topic from syllabus. You analyze PYQs. You see how what they're asking from this particular topic, how what they're asking from this particular topic, and you try to come up with an introduction from the source. You try to come up with the body part. There's going to be a subheading, and there are going to be five, six, seven arguments backing it. Then you must have some value addition, which we have discussed. Subject specific value addition, subject specific keywords must be there in your answers, in your notes. So that is how, then there must be a conclusion that is either quote based or SDG is there, or positively future looking, uh, future looking conclusion. So that is how you prepare mains notes, and I think I've discussed this quite in detail previously, so you can just slide back and watch that. So how to tackle a philosophical topic. So I think to tackle a philosophical topic, you must be able to comprehend it first. I think first is comprehension, like what the quote or what the topic is trying to say. Then you must be able to argue in favor or in opposite, regard or in opposite, depending on the demand of the question, as to what that philosophical topic means. For example, there was a quote this year in ethics, like those who are untroubled in trouble may trouble the trouble. So this is a philosophical topic, and this is tongue twister as well. So what you would do, you would try to break down this quote. For example, those who are untroubled in trouble, what does that mean? That means those who are calm. Then there is may trouble the trouble itself, that those who are calm would be able to deal with trouble more effectively. So now how do I argue in favor of it? I argue by presenting arguments, like how does calmness help in tackling the trouble. First is that you have a cool mind. You do not act on your emotions, because acting on your emotions is not favorable in a lot of situations. Then you give an example how staying calm helped uh, someone. For example, Captain Cool, MS Dhoni, stayed calm in a lot of situations and was able to get the tag of a good finisher. So this is how you tackle philosophical topics. Then you also can also discuss about current relevance, which of this philosophical topic. For example, why is calmness required now, right? In current context, because there's a lot of social media misinformation. There can be emotional outbursts on fake information. So if you're calm, you can analyze that information whichever you're getting and react accordingly, especially in administration. So, sir, how to score 300 plus in anthropology? The first prerequisite of scoring 300 plus in anthropology is that you must have your notes. You must have read the syllabus. You must have finished your notes. And second is that you must have conceptual clarity. You do not need 4 or 5 scholars per answer to score 300 plus. You What you need to show is that your conceptual clarity is there, that you understand what anthropology is and what anthropological perspective is. So if you're able to show that in your answers, then I think the examiner rewards you. And then there is also value addition. For example, make good diagrams or try to make maps and value addition case studies and all. I think that is how you can score good marks. I'll share my anthropology notes on my Telegram channel as well. Please go through them once you have time and learn how to make notes and make your own short notes as well. So I think to have good quality of peer group is, it's not really necessary, but it does help. First, I mean, I think peer groups does help, especially in the interview preparation. But for mains, I think what you can do is you can join a test series, and there you will get mentors. So those mentors will be much more helpful to you than, I think, peer groups if you're preparing from your hometown. So if you're preparing for a UPSC in college, I think first thing is that you must not let UPSC interfere with your college studies. The second would be that try to be, become an aware citizen in your college itself. Try to read newspapers, try to learn what is happening, be curious. And secondly, I think start preparing for mains. Once your foundational knowledge is there, start making your notes, start writing answers, start writing essays. I think that is how you'll be able to uh, prepare along with your studies. Okay. Sir, how to remember all the current affairs from magazine? It's not necessary at all to remember all the current affairs from magazine. Just go through them. Just know what is going on in the world. Current affairs do not play a very large role in prelims, especially in prelims. There are going to be 10 to 15 questions, and even those are solvable if you have good static knowledge. So I think for prelims, your focus must be that your static must be strong. At least 4 subjects: polity, geography, economics, and one from science and tech or environment must be your strength for prelims. Current affairs can be solved with aptitude. That is at least my thought process, that current affairs can be solved with MCQ aptitude, but static is must to clear prelims. So regarding anthropology, if the class notes are comprehensive enough, then I think they works well. But if you think that they are not comprehensive, then you must fill those gaps by self notes. Further, I think what you must be able to do, that if your class notes is very detailed, right? What you can do is you can try to concise them into introduction, body, and conclusion format. Your preferred resources for environment and economy. So for environment, for prelims, would be Shivan sir's environment module, and for mains it would be Nandana ma'am's notes along with the knowledge from prelims. And for economy, for prelims it is Mrinal sir's notes, and for mains it is either Prahar, then that is must be supplemented with current affairs for economics, that is budget or the economic survey. Yes, yes. What I mean by preparing mains first is you must prepare mains after your foundation knowledge is there. Once you know what parliament is, like once you know what Lok Sabha is, what Rajya Sabha is, once you know what a bill is, what an act is, once you know what a cyclone is, right? So if you are in your college, your focus must be to prepare to uh, make that foundation strong. After that, you must shift to mains, right? But you should not waste all your times in preparing for prelims only. That you are reading Lakshmikant only for 1.5 years. That is not the optimal strategy here. For every subject, different notes. For prelims, I think regarding note making in my opinion is only necessary for mains. For prelims you do not need notes. What you can do is you can highlight uh, in your highlight the information in your book itself. You can write down on the margins the impact. I'll post a picture of my Lakshmikant, so there you can get an idea of how I approach prelims notes. I do not make specific notes for prelims. So for priority sequence for PT 365, so first priority must be economics, then polity is also regarding the new acts or bills that are there, then international relations regarding places in news or new treaties that are there, they are also quite important. Then science and tech is also important, and environment. I think these are the major, for they should be your major focus areas. Regarding CSAT, I think to boost marks in CSAT, first you must identify your strengths and make them even stronger. So if English comprehension is your strength and you feel that you can do 21 out of 27 questions right, then you must try to boost that to 24, 25 questions out of the 27 that we get. Second, you must out of the three broad areas, that is reasoning, quantitative aptitude, and uh, language comprehension, two must be very strong. Try to practice as many questions as you can. You can only attempt 50 questions out of the 80, so do not focus on attempting all of the questions. The focus should be to attempting maximum number of questions that you can get right, and do not spend more than 2 minutes on a particular question. I think that is the broad approach for CSAT. I don't think that you need notes for current affairs, uh, especially for prelims. You do not. For mains, what you can do is you can relate that current affair topic to your general studies topic, and you can add those current affairs as value addition in your notes. So if you take history and you read NCRTs, right? After that, what you can do, you can pick up a topic of history from mains subject. For example, there is, let's say, Indian freedom struggle. So what you will do is you'll make notes how the freedom struggle emerged, what were the factors contributing it, what were the changes that are that were brought during that time that led to the freedom struggle. What was the role of moderates? What was the role of extremists? What was the role of Gandhiji? These are the dimensions that you'll open up. Then you'll make notes of these, and then you'll revise. That is the broader timeline. So for prelims, PYQs are necessary, but they are not necessary in the sense that they'll tell you what comes next. They are necessary in the sense that they'll help you develop that knack for PYQs. What you should do with PYQs is you must sit with them. You must analyze that if there are three statements in the PYQ and one of them is wrong, then you must read it and try to understand why is it wrong, what was changed in it that made it wrong, right? And then that knowledge that you gain must be applied in tests. So test series, at least tests from the market you can buy to get yourself that confidence that is needed in prelims. Okay, I think we have addressed most of the doubts. If some doubt remain, please put that up. I think yes, you must focus on revision as well. For current affairs, I think you must not give more than 10-15% of your time. If you're studying 10 hours a day, then I think 1.5 hour at max is good for current affairs. Rest focus on static, on making notes, on answer writing, on other more important things. Further, for further doubts, I think you guys can join my Telegram channel as well, right? My Telegram channel is UPSC with Harsh Nehara, AIR 74. You guys can join that. I think it was great interacting with you all and sharing my strategy. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being here, guys. Thank you.